Next, please. Okay, within our schools, we have 18 military family life consultants that supports 40 schools, and they're from Magellan Health. We have 3 school liaison officers who support 87 schools, and they're from Fort Bragg. We have 2 military student transition consultants who support 17 secondary schools, and they're from the Military Child Education Coalition, MSEC. We have 2 DoDEA Grant project directors who you'll hear from later, and then we have 1 district liaison, and I cover 89 schools, and I'm Mr. Lattimore, the district liaison. So that's just a little background of our school, of what our school makeup is. Next, please.
We have some community resources like Mr. Lattimore had mentioned. So the Stephen A. Cohen Clinic, which you'll hear from a little bit later, and Alliance Health. Next slide, please. And some other resources that we work with from Fort Bragg is the Exceptional Family Member Program. Next slide, please. And now I believe it will be Dr. Chevelle Godwin.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Shook. I appreciate that introduction. And as school liaison officers, we try to work together to make sure that student achievement is achieved for our families. We try to act as a conduit between the community, the public, and the installation. And we try to act as the eyes, ears, and voice for our garrison commander. We realize that there is a lot that's taking place for our military families as they transition from the installation to places all over the world. So we want to make sure that your voices are heard. We try to make sure that we are partners, good partners for Cumberland County Schools. And so they have worked with us for over 25 plus years. And so we thank Dr. Conley and his staff as they work with us as a school liaison officers on this installation. Next slide. So what do we do as school liaison officers? There is a lot to be done. There are 3 of us on the installation, myself, Ms. Iris Pierce, and Mr. Gerhard Guevara. So school support services has transition support. That's a big piece because we realize that if a military family remains in the military for 25 plus years, there's a possibility that our families can actually transition anywhere from 9+ times. And so as your military students, we just actually sat down, Ms. Shook, who you just heard her voice, actually invited us to actually do student to student on yesterday. So our families, when your children are going into Cumberland County Schools, they're asking, who am I going to eat lunch with? They're going to be asking about media centers and just all kinds of questions. So we try to ask about education questions. We try to ask about school questions. And so there are a lot of things that when your children are coming into these schools, you want to know the first person that you're going to be introducing yourselves and your students to is that data manager. And so we want to make sure that the policies and the information that you want to know about as parents when your children are coming into these schools, that you have that information. As school liaison officers, we try to make sure that Colonel Pence, our garrison commander, has that information for your children as they're coming into these schools. Deployment support. We realize that when your families are coming into the schools, that ABCs become a little bit different for our military families, that the military language is different for our children. And so we have information that the interstate compact and quality of life, that this information is shared not only with the garrison, not only with our superintendent, but with the staff that are in the schools, so that we have military family life consultants that has been sponsored by our Department of Defense, so that your children can have that support throughout their academic years in Cumberland County Schools. Also, we have the link, command, school, and community. And so scholarship information and all types of things, as we talked about, the student to student that's provided for you when your students are actually coming into the schools. Next slide. Now, I can talk about this slide all day long, but time does not give me that. But a picture, as they say, is worth 1,000 words. And so when your children are in these seats with these teachers every single day, there's a lot that's going on. So graduation, career to college pathways, and your soldiers are reading to your students, they're coming into the schools. And so we want to make sure that we are, like I said, we are good academic partners for your children. So we try to make sure that as the garrison commander has provided that duty station support, that as you're coming in and going out as school liaison officers, we're providing just that for your children. We want to make sure that you understand the policies, because a lot of times when you come from Kansas to Fort Bragg, what exactly is going on? And when you are actually, your child is coming into kindergarten, what are the kindergarten standards for your children when your children is entering kindergarten here at Fort Bragg, North Carolina? And so we want to make sure that you have that support that you need. When you have questions with Cumberland County Schools, those are some of the questions that we make sure that Mr. Lattimore, as well as our military partners in Cumberland County Schools, provide you that information that's needed. There are also additional things that we don't have the time, that it is not permitted here, but we'll make sure that you have our information. And please enter those questions in the chat so we can talk to you about what we can do as school liaison officers. But as I stated, Dr. Conley and his staff, military family life consultants, and the staff across Cumberland County Schools provides you exactly what needs to be done for our military families. Thank you for your attention this afternoon, and we'll be here to answer and address your concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Godwin. My name is Stephanie Shook, and I am the 2015 and 2016 DoDEA Grants Project Director. First, I'd like to give you a little bit of a history of the DoDEA grants that we've had in Cumberland County Schools. In 2009, we had a science-focused grant. And then in 2015, we were awarded a social emotional grant, which was focused in 8 secondary schools. And then again in 2016, we were awarded another social emotional grant, which was focused in 9 secondary schools. In 2019, we had a STEM grant that we were awarded, which my colleague, Ms. Katie McPartland, will discuss in a moment. And as always, we continue to apply for future DoDEA grants so that we can meet and support the needs of our military-connected students. Next slide, please. So we know that military-connected students experience many challenges due to the military lifestyle. They experience frequent moves, new friends, changing academic standards, and even miss sports due to those PCS moves. So our 2015 grant, which was titled True North, Meeting the Individual Needs of Military Connected Children, that grant did end in May of 2020. And our 2016 grant, which was titled Staying on Course to True North, Supporting Our Heroes' Most Valued Treasures. This grant does end in May of 2021, but both of those grants allowed us to support military-connected students and to decrease office referrals for military-connected students by supporting their social emotional needs and providing specialized personnel embedded into those schools, and along with peer support programs. Next slide, please. Through the grant, we partnered with the Military Child Education Coalition, or MSEC, to bring those 4 specialized personnel called Military Student Transition Consultants. At the time of the grants, we had the world's largest concentration of MSTCs. Our MSTCs assist our families and our military-connected students with transitions, transcripts, social emotional support, family resources, and even scholarships. They also assist us with district and community events such as deployment and resource fairs. I do want to mention the Month of the Military Child, which Cumberland County Schools partners with many local organizations. That event is going to be April 12th through the 16th, so please be on the lookout for the flyer. Next slide, please. Another component for our 2015 and 2016 grant was to develop these peer support programs at each one of our grant schools. The grants provided trainings for the schools to develop the program. These programs were called the Junior Student-to-Student and Student-to-Student programs. They're peer support ambassador programs, which help to ease the transitional anxiety that some of our students face due to their frequent moves and many transitions. Through these grants, we were able to send at least 3 schools to train in Washington, D.C. at the National Training Seminar from 2017 to 2019 through MSEC. Our students trained with many military students from around the world, from Germany to Korea, Japan, and many local student-to-student programs here in the United States. Another great program that MSEC has provided is called the Frances Hasselbein Leadership Program. This is an opportunity for a week-long leadership event. It occurs twice a year at either West Point or the Air Force Academy in Colorado. 12 lucky attendants are chosen to attend each session from around the world, and CCS has sent a student or group. The group was due to COVID, which was a virtual event, every year for the last 3 years. We are the only district that has ever had a 3 consecutive year presence at the Frances Hasselbein Leadership Program. And now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Ms. Katie McPartlin. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Ms. Shook. Good evening. My name is Katie McPartlin, and I am the DoDEA STEM Grant Project Director. Like Ms. Shook said, my grant is started in 2019, and it is a 5-year grant, and so it's going to end in 2023 in May. Our goal, our deliverables were to look at 8th grade math, EOG, or end of grade scores, and high school ACT composite scores. So that's everything from math, science, and ELA. The schools in our grant are the Pine Forest and Grays Creek attendance areas, including middle and high schools. So Grays Creek Middle and Grays Creek High, Pine Forest Middle School, Spring Lake Middle School, and Pine Forest High School. Next slide, please. Thank you. So what does this grant give our students? Basically, what we're trying to do is provide STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics support for our students. We implemented the use of a brand new project-based learning software where the students are able to do hands-on learning on the computer, which has been instrumental while we're at home due to COVID. We have been sponsoring ACT Plus test preparation for our high school students. It has included the introduction of a STEM coach into those schools, so just a little bit of extra support for our STEM teachers, as well as purchasing new computers and calculators for our schools, some of which are probably home with your children right now due to COVID-19. Thank you, and I'm going to turn it over to our MFLACs, or our Military Family Life Counselors.
Good evening. I'm looking for, there we go. The Military Family Life Program has been around since 2004, and most MFLACs are concentrated in schools that have a higher military population. I'm not going to read that slide to you, but I will give you some high points of the program. The people that are employed in the program are licensed counselors in the state that they work in. It's non-medical, short-term counseling. It is a free service that the military contracts with Department of Defense for. We're not allowed to keep any records. It is totally a confidential program. The only time it would not be confidential would be a duty to warn if somebody is a suspect of hurting themselves or others. But other than that, it's totally confidential. And any MFLAC can give a briefing on the program. It's really a wonderful program to support students in the schools. And I think they mentioned there were 18 of us. So most of us have 2 to 3 schools, but we enjoy this job. We've been doing it, as I said, since 2004. And if you have a question about whether your school has one, you can check with your school individually. And that's pretty much all I've got for tonight, but thank you for coming.
And these are just some of the issues that MFLAC handles. Next, we have the Stephen A. Cohen Clinic. That's one of our community supports, the Stephen A. Cohen Clinic. And here's a slide just talking about how the Stephen A. Cohen Clinic started. Next slide, please. Okay, Stephen A. Cohen Clinic served active duty military. However, they do help veterans and retirees, but it's mostly for active duty. They use the care of centered evidence-based practice, and Stephen A. Cohen Clinic, it is confidential. So a lot of people, a lot of soldiers do not wish to have services on the installation because of the stigma, and sometimes they think that it would hinder their promotion and other things as far as placements and moves, places they can move to. However, Stephen A. Cohen Clinic is total confidential. Next slide. Next slide.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany Drain, and I'm the Exceptional Family Member Program Coordinator here at Pope Army Airfield. Currently, Pope Field, of course, services the Air Force, has 305 EFMP families. Of those families, 400 individuals are individual family members with special needs. EFMP is a whole family focused program, and there are 838 family members without special needs who are also eligible for support. So in total, we have 1,238 individuals that are connected to the EFMP program on Pope Field. I'd like to also add, I'm sorry, next slide, please. I'd also like to add that we assist active duty, Guard, Reserve, geographically separated families, deployed families, sister services. We are a purple program, so it doesn't matter what branch one is, their family can come receive services from us. We support retirees, civilians that are assigned to Fort Bragg or Pope Field, contractors, and also members who are not yet enrolled in EFMP. With EFMP, what it is, we provide non-medical case management through family needs assessments, and we help develop service plans. These are tailored for the family according to what the needs are of not just the special needs family member, but the family as a whole. We coordinate local, state, and federal community resources for families that are seeking assistance, and we're able to make referrals to community workshops, support groups, information fairs, and offering educational activities. EFMP, what a lot of people don't know, is broken actually into 3 components. We have EFMP Medical, which is normally housed at the hospital. For Pope Field, they're located at Byers Clinic. And then we have EFMP Family Support, which is the program I oversee at the Airmen and Family Readiness Center. And then we also have EFMP Assignments, and we work together in tandem to assist the families. Really want you to know, being an EFMP does not prevent you from getting an assignment. A lot of times individuals are scared to identify a family member that might have some type of special needs because they are afraid that they'll be stuck here or they won't get to go on a certain assignment. What we do is we just want to make sure that the services that your family member needs are coordinated prior to you getting to your next duty installation. Now, if you are scheduled to go somewhere and those services are not offered, then naturally we would not want to move your family to that location. So in that instance, the member, the sponsor either gets a different assignment or they would proceed unaccompanied. But a lot of times the military, specifically the Air Force, tries to work with the sponsor to make sure that that family can stay together, but want to make sure that those educational or medical needs are met when they get to the new installation. With EFMP, we also provide a warm handoff to gaining bases. So that way, if you're in the midst of any services, we can make sure that those needs get addressed when you get to the next base. We also help identify gaps in services, and we'll advocate for our families, especially while working with various school systems like Cumberland County or different other county school systems that we work with that deal with exceptional children. Another program that you may or may not be aware of is the respite care program. EFMP, at least for the Air Force side, we market the respite care program and we make referrals. For those families that have children with moderate to severe special needs, respite care, mind you, is not a traditional child care program. It is for respite care, and families can receive up to 40 hours of free respite child care each month, and it's paid for by the Air Force. So the EFMP program, again, it's family support, it's medical, it's assignments, but for the family support portion, it's all non-medical case management, but we definitely can put you in contact with the medical side if you need to. I just want to highlight real quick a few things that we have coming up here in Pope soon. We have an Airman's Attic All Ranks Day. So if you happen to be an Air Force family, whether you're retired or regardless of rank, the Airman's Attic, which is kind of like a free thrift store, we're having an All Ranks Day. Normally it's for the E5, E6 and below, but on this day, April 14th, from 10 to 1400 or 2 o'clock, it is open for everyone. So you can come and stop by and do some shopping. We're having 3 Purple Up days this month, April 14th, April 15th, and April 21st. We are encouraging as many of our population on Pope Field to wear purple to support our military children. And on April 21st, we will have from 1 to 3 o'clock an EFMP drive-through resource bag giveaway. And I'm just going to highlight some of the books that we have available. We have books about IEPs, and this is all about IEPs. We have these, I have these on hand, so if you need one, I'll put my information in the chat box. IEP tips for teachers and parents, which is pretty popular. I have a lot of families request copies of these. And then information on rights law. This is kind of like a rights law Bible. That's what I like to call it, but it's very informative. And I will be putting these in the resource bags. And so if you are tied to the Air Force community and you want to reach out, again, I will put my information in the chat box. And happy Military Child Month.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Brower, and I am the Veteran Point of Contact for Alliance Health. Alliance Health is a managed care organization. We're the organization that manages healthcare for behaviors for the people of Cumberland County. Our services are for individuals who either have Medicaid or have no insurance at all. And we manage the services for people who are experiencing difficulty with mental illness, substance use disorders, or intellectual and developmental disabilities. Our Alliance Network of Provider offers treatment and support for not only veterans, but their families in North Carolina, because we understand that there are approximately 54,000 veterans in our state that rely on Medicaid or that are uninsured and they need extensive behavioral health needs. I would encourage anyone who is experiencing a mental health need or a substance use need or an intellectual development disability need to call our Access and Information Center. We have a 24-hour center where you can have a telephone screening and we will offer you a referral to your choice of appropriate service providers. We can also help provide assistance for individuals who are having a behavioral health crisis. And if you have or a need for any other information or resources available in Cumberland County, we'll be more than happy to help. Thank you.
These are some of the web resources we have that support our military students. And this will, as Ms. Joyce said earlier, this will be recorded where you can view later. But these are some of the web resources we often use inside our school system. Next, please. Before we go to questions, I would just like to recognize the help that we have here in Cumberland County Schools from DoDEA, from Military Child Education Coalition, from Fort Bragg, from Pope Airfield, from Magellan Health. And as you can see, any situation that you have, we have services and resources in the schools or outside of the schools that can help you. If it's social emotional learning, if it's transition, if it's deployment, if it's special program, we have DoDEA Grants projects for that, and students and adults with disabilities. If you have a situation and you're in the military or retired or veteran, we have services to help you. Just reach out to us. And in the chat box, I saw that you want contact information from all of us. We will provide that to you. And lastly, I would like to say thank you for those who showed up tonight as far as the points of contact at the schools. I see Ms. Warfall out there, and I see Ms. Cardoza out there. Those are point of contacts at two of the schools I know that help us become a Purple Star designated school system. That's all I have. Thank you.